Hello and good evening, and welcome to the Toronto International Film Festival, our first Sunday. We're making it through the weekend. My name is Andrea Picard, and I'm the lead programmer for Wavelengths. Tonight's the third shorts program called Centerfold, and you may have noticed that our program titles have musical references, whether bands or songs, and this is a bit of a revisionist female journey one for you. To begin, we would like to acknowledge that this evening's event is taking place on the treaty territory of the Mississaugas of New Credit and the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, and the Huron-Wendat. We are grateful to have the opportunity to work in the community. And we would like to thank the Museum of Modern Art in New York for providing us with a restoration tonight for Lisa Baumgardner's Girl Pack, and we would like to thank the Maria Lassnig Foundation for providing us with Alice. And these are restorations that we want to sort of faufiler, a thread through the program tonight. So not only are these, Centerfold is in relation to portraiture, self-portraiture, we have auto-portraiture, but also we have ideas of technology and home and voyage. And we think it's a very rich program with themes that are both oblique and relevant. So we hope you enjoy the program. And we have so many artists with us this evening, and I'm going to introduce them, or invite them on stage to introduce their films. So please give a warm welcome to Karissa Hahn. And Ross Meckfessel is here. Rolla Tahir from Toronto, like the locals. Celia Perrin Sidarous. Simon Liu. Oh, you're already up here. And Beatrice Gibson. Hi, Celia. How are you? So I'm just going to pass the mic around. If you could just maybe give us the name of your film and introduce it briefly.
Sure. Hi, my film is called Slip. It's a silent, still life film, non-narrative, that was shot in Montreal and also in Athens, in Delphi, Larnaca, and Cape Sunio, so in Greece and Cyprus as well. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Karissa. I made Please Step Out of the Frame. It's a Super 8 piece. Tonight is the video version. I guess I could say it was shot on 8 rolls of Super 8 film. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Ross. My film is The Air of the Earth in Your Lungs. It's about video game culture, drones, and vision.
Hello, my name is Simon Liu. My film is called Fallen Arches. The piece is kind of a storage mechanism or catalog, albeit a confusing one, for experiences between Hong Kong, New York, and Stoke-on-Trent in the United Kingdom. And the piece kind of dwells in this kind of conflict between the personal and the impersonal and the allure of sentimental and seductive imagery.
Hi, my name is Rolla Tahir. My film is called Sira. And it talks about and traces my family's kind of migration out of Kuwait after the Gulf War through Sudan, Egypt, and to Canada.
Hi, I'm Beatrice Gibson. My film's called I Hope I'm Loud When I'm Dead, which is taken from the title of a C.A. Conrad poem, who also features in the film alongside another American poet called Eileen Miles. It also has some very intimate footage of my own family, and yeah, that's it. Thank you to Wavelengths for having us, and also I want to say thank you to Julia Powley from Mercer Union, who's in the audience, because they're a Canadian co-commissioner of the film. So, thank you.
Unfortunately, we're running a bit tight on time, but we'll have a bit of time for questions, and if need be, I can say that all these artists are very nice, and they'll be happy to talk with you afterwards as well. Maybe we could start with your film, Karissa. I was curious to maybe ask you about the Edward Muybridge photos that you include and the chronophotography, and how you kind of tie this in with the photo booth app.
Yeah, the Muybridge was actually mostly just in the first roll that I shot. I kind of divorced the Muybridge footage after that. And I started thinking more about this interspace, and so using the chroma keying and especially photo booth. I think, yeah, I kind of stopped using the Muybridge because I kind of dove into this other realm where I became completely lost by the second roll of shooting. And I was thinking a lot about this kind of way of how to work between Super 8 and cyberspace, and seeing it kind of as like this open, contested arena, especially photo booth situated between like capitalist commodification that's reinscribed through software code by like economically powerful surveillance corporations. So for me, it was kind of seeing the back and forth play between the computer screen, the camera, and the Super 8. Yeah, so I don't know if that answers my question.
Are there questions from the audience for our guests? There's plenty of great people here. Take your time. Rolla, maybe you could talk a bit about your film, which was a commission from LIFT here in Toronto, responding to documentaries by Jacques Mavdo. Maybe you could talk about how you first approached the material and how you decided to work with it. And maybe everyone can please step into the light. Sorry.
Yeah. A couple of years ago, I had come across home video VHS tapes, and that were shot before I was born and when I was very little. So I started transferring them, and then when I found out about the commission project by LIFT, which is the Liaison of Independent Filmmakers of Toronto, I looked at the footage that Jacques Mavdo had shot in places like Kuwait and Egypt, where I lived but had no memory of before I was born and when I was very young. And I like looking at both footage together, my home videos and the footage that he had shot. I kind of immediately knew what I wanted to do, which is kind of explore a little bit about memory and how kind of you form constructed memories when you don't actually have recollection of your childhood. So that's kind of pretty much, that was the genesis of the project. And then I also knew that because I have no recollection of the time, I didn't want to put myself up there. So I immediately just kind of went to my mother, who I asked for the narration, and yeah.
Your film it sort of touches on the theme of a travelogue, which both Simon and Ross, your films sort of play with this in certain ways. I'm kind of curious if you were thinking about themes of travelogues and how you sort of play with it or mess with it in your films.
Well, the film was shot between Hong Kong, New York, and Stoke-on-Trent. They're kind of the three places that I moved between in my life. I was born and raised in Hong Kong, and my mom lives in Stoke-on-Trent. That's where my parents met, and I live in New York myself. And so this film was kind of, the roles actually traveled with me from New York to Hong Kong. There's from New York to England, back to New York to Hong Kong, back to New York. So there was this kind of sense of an overlapping sense of space and kind of compression of time, or just a possibility of an alternative moment that might be happening on the other side of the world or something. Yeah, I think kind of having a hard time answering the travel question, but
you can talk about shooting it if you.
Yeah, sure. Why don't to me, I think whenever I travel to a place, there's a very limited amount of time that I'm in a space. You're kind of anticipating the end of the trip. There's kind of this desire to take in as much as you can in your limited amount of time in a place. And I think that's kind of embodied in that image of the Christmas tree. The image itself, it's very present, but it kind of anticipates its own ending. You know, it's a very particular time of your life, and I'm interested in just cataloging that and making sure it's there. Yeah.
What about you, Ross?
Yeah, I really like shooting while traveling, so I always bring my camera around whenever I'm going anywhere. A lot of filmmakers talk about how they don't like shooting when they're traveling because everything sort of seems exciting, and then you get it back and you're like, oh, this is just a tree or something not very exciting. But I sort of like that ability to make the mundane seem really extraordinary. So the footage that I shot in Japan was actually before I'd even conceptualized the piece. And then it wasn't until I shot my friend playing the 3-screen video game that I started like incorporating this Japanese footage. And it started working really well together because it was this whole future robot, this robot restaurant footage that I had, like really integrated with this whole digital realm and this idea of the future and how we sort of like have a new idea of the future now that we're sort of living in it. So
plenty of traveling without moving in your film, Karissa, as well. Questions from the audience for our guests? Yes, right here in the middle.
When did you decide to sort of re-perform the dance? What did it take to learn it, but also
So the question is just about the ending of the film and the decision to have the citation of Danny Levant's dance.
I'm very flattered that you noticed that I learned it, because I'm not sure it was apparent. So I was just kind of during the making of the film, I was dancing around my kitchen a lot with my kid to that scene. Somehow, I don't know, we were watching it on YouTube and he was behind me watching it with me, and he just kind of got totally obsessed with Denis Lavant, and every morning he'd say, "Can we watch Denis Lavant?" And then so we had like 3 weeks of prancing around dancing to this track, and it's just a great scene, as I'm sure you're aware, you know. And so it seemed like an appropriate way to end a film that, you know, I don't know, I didn't have an answer for how it should end. It's like an unresolvable angst, I guess. So dancing, freaking out and dancing seemed like a good combo.
Themes of family are sort of something that sort of runs subtly through a lot of the films in the program, and maybe subtly in yours, Celia, because you work with your mother. Maybe you want to talk about working with her.
Sure. Actually, it's my aunt.
Oh, excuse me.
No, that's okay. Well, I decided to work with her just from seeing the way that she naturally moves. Like once I saw her fold up a piece of paper and put it into an envelope, and I said, this should be on film. Like there's something so, there's something so sensual about the touching, but also about watching this sort of slow movement. And she has a background as in Egypt when she was younger. She has a background as a model and a dancer. So that sort of slowness or the ease to understand what I wanted to do without necessarily needing to spell it out. So it was more, I saw it more as a collaboration because I guess the instructions I would give her were very simple, where, you know, put this thing there or touch this thing or enter the frame this way. And then it was very natural for her. Like she sort of understood what I was looking for with the touching and the moving and the manipulating and the sort of charge that it has. Yeah.
It's super lovely.
Yeah.
I'm terribly sorry that we actually have no more time for questions, but as I mentioned, everyone is very nice, and I think maybe we'll share a few minutes to talk with you if you have questions or comments. Thanks so much for coming. Wavelengths 4 is tomorrow at 4 p.m. in this room. Hope to see you there. Enjoy your night.
Thank you.
Last round, yeah, of course, for our artists.